January 21st, 2024. 7 Diamond Mudra. Pluto and the Sun stepping hand in hand into the sign of Aquarius. This is not the last time. Pluto's going to retrograde back one more time in September, October, November, and then it'll be done forever. Those of us with a lot of Capricorn in our birth chart, we know. We know what this means if we're into astrology at all. And let's not forget that everyone has somewhere Capricorn in their life, in their chart, in their natal, even if they don't have any planets there or placements there. For example, if you're a Libra, Capricorn is about your house, your home, your family, the things that you hold close, your so-called fourth house. And so this is affecting everybody, and Pluto being a generational planet it's affecting the world in a huge way. When Pluto moved into Capricorn in 2008, we saw the financial crisis, the Obama election, just to give you a time frame. A momentous time. Where it's going, which is Aquarius, and a lot of astrologers around the world for the last several years have been alluding to the idea, the notion that this movement of Pluto into the sign of Aquarius is kind of ushering in or representing a landmark point in our shifting of the ages from the age of Pisces into Aquarius. And just to explain that briefly, the great cycle moves in a so-called retrograde fashion, and we're coming from Pisces into Aquarius from the other direction. But the planets move in their normal fashion when they're in forward motion, and thereby the planet Pluto moving now from Capricorn into Aquarius after a 14 to 15 year period. And it'll stay in Aquarius for 20 years. And for all my Aquarian colleagues, friends, and people that I've known throughout my life, and I've known a lot of Aquarians, people who have the sun, that is their sun sign. Let's not mistake when someone says I'm a this and I'm a that. All they're saying is it's their sun sign. There's all the other aspects to astrology that have to come into play, and that's why it's such a rich language to learn. But I'm just referring to those people that I know that have the sun in Aquarius when they're born. And those people are in for quite a ride for the next 20 years. And I can't predict what that's going to be, but I know that the ride that I've had for the last 15 years has been pretty brutal. And it has changed me in every conceivable way. So chances are, for most Aquarian sun sign people, it's going to be a richly transformative time, depending upon where they are in their life and how old they are. This is a generational shift, so it's difficult to predict. One thing that can be predicted is that great shifts are coming also in the world, because Pluto has to do with power and control. And it links up the power. It doesn't link up, rather. It represents, in sort of a polar way, the power structures of the world on the one hand, and then the deep-seated atomic power, if you will, that each human being has within inside of themselves. And the part of ourselves, the part of our power, our personal power that we're trying to tap into as individual souls. And Pluto is trying to draw that out of us. And it's trying to draw it out of us through experiences of loss and trauma and trial and struggle. And this is the way that we learn. And Pluto being the furthest planet away in the grand pantheon, let's not forget that the three planets that were added, Uranus, Pluto, and Neptune, and Pluto being the furthest away, added to the pantheon in the modern world. They were not an integral part of the language of astrology long before that, or for very much time before that. So in our thinking, it is a modern version of our thinking in terms of that. but the energy is real nonetheless. We get the word plutonic and plutonian from the planet itself, and Pluto represents, if we think of the notion that it's the furthest away, and as above, so below, so you go the deepest inside. If it's the furthest away in space, then it represents something that's the deepest inside of us. The core, root, survival, sexual energy, our drive, our need for survival, our fight or flight energy, our impulses, our base animal impulses. All of these things are, if not governed in part by Pluto, certainly always affected by it. And again, the pantheon is vast and diverse, and all of the energies are affecting one another and us and the world at any given time, and that needs to be taken into consideration. It is a complex language, and here at the Mudra, we plan on expanding and expounding on that understanding for our students, because we know that this is the language of the stars. Astro, logos. The logos of the astro. The truth or the word of the stars, of the heavens. Astro, logos, is the word of the heavens, or the word of the heaven, a word of who made heaven, who made the heaven and the earth. It's the word of God. And it is the foundation of all religions. If you look closely enough at the scriptures, astrology is there, including the Bible. It's there. And in the ancient world, it's there. And for us to call it hooey-pooey or to put it in a box in the modern world and into a newspaper column is doing it a great, great disservice. We must continue to rekindle the interest, the awareness, the understanding of this language. Because what it does is it facilitates the human mind's ability to think in multiple layers. And we don't really learn how to do that very much in school. We simply don't. Astrology takes the mind into a position where it's multiple layered. We have to think in a 5D chess way, if you will, because it is representing the multidimensional reality of our existence, even though we are stuck in the 3D. And we tend to really get stuck in that 3D reality. We really do. Left, right, up, down, front, back, dark, light. In essence, Pluto and its plutonic, deep, atomic energy affecting us literally at the molecular level, the subatomic level. In that left-right paradigm, in that three-dimensional paradigm, it may be easy for us to say, oh, this is representing something negative. But if we are to hold the great truth, the dichotomies of the great truth in our mind, we understand that Pluto ultimately represents the greatest positive in life too, and in the world. We need to be ready for shifts to occur that we were not expecting. This shift of the Sun and Pluto into Aquarius, which was happening this particular weekend, this is the weekend of January 20th, 21st, 21st, and 22nd. What's also happening is that Uranus is stationing direct in Taurus, which is 5 ticks away, the 5th house of the Capricornian energy, its sister Earth sign, Taurian, the fixed Earth sign. And Uranus is there, shaking up the financial system, shaking up people's values. So Uranus is stationing direct at 20 degrees of Taurus, which is a trine to the sign of Capricorn. A simpatico energy, if you will. It's emphasizing the positivity of whatever's happening at this moment. As Pluto and the Sun step into Aquarius together, Uranus finally comes out of retrograde. But right now, it's sitting still, stationing. So what is Aquarius? Many people with a layman's knowledge of astrology tend to mistaken the sign of Aquarius for a water sign. But in fact, it is an air sign. So let's look at that. It comes from the word, because aqua is in the word Aquarius, because Aquarius is the Aquaman. Aquarius is Aquaman. It is a man, the symbol, the animal of the Aquarian constellation, if you will. Just like Leo has a lion, and Scorpio in the ancient world was an eagle, and Taurus is a bull, Capricorn is a goat, and so to speak. If Pisces is a fish, and so on. But Aquarius is a man. It's Aquaman. It is the man pouring the waters of spirit back into the world from the heavens. And this is why it's mistaken often to be a water sign. But it in fact is an air sign, which is mental. It represents the mind. And Libra and Gemini, the other brother mental signs in the zodiac. And in Gemini, Pollux and Castor, the twins, are the symbol, the representative, which is also representing people, humans, right? Libra has the scales, a so-called man-made device. It's showing us the balance. And so the air signs show us mental, the mind, and it's giving the representatives in the sky of those three signs have a human quality, which is telling us it's representing that elongated frontal cortex that the human species possesses. This idea that something about the human mind is critical. Something about the human mind is critical in ways that it isn't for the other animals to fully self-actualize. Not only as individuals, but as a species, as a collective, as a family. And as Pluto has spent the last 14 to 15 years wrecking ball, swinging around the structures of the world, the Saturnian structures of the world, education, government, banking, religion, planes, buildings, cars, trucks, walls, ceilings, bridges, all these concepts. Now, whether or not those institutions have come crumbling down, we do see the evidence of this happening. And Pluto moving into Aquarius is a critical moment in that process, because it, in a way, and this is something that astrologers all around the world are talking about, is this slowly over time is going to give power back to the people in an energetic sense. Uranus moving direct in Taurus the moment that Pluto is moving in to Aquarius is really cool, because Uranus rules Aquarius in the modern world. Uranus and Saturn together. I find it fascinating. The energy of Aquarius is a double rulership. And in modern astrology, we think of it as a double rulership. Saturn is the ancient ruler of both Capricorn and Aquarius. Sort of at the bottom of the zodiac. It's the winter time. Two completely different signs, though. Because Uranus is involved in Aquarius. And this sign marks the cusp point of the entire cycle of the great year. Aquarius is the place where it happens. That 1500 to 2000 year period where we shift from one age to the other. It happens in Aquarius in the so-called great year Gnostic cycle. And I find it interesting that Uranus, which is in the pantheon, the grandfather of Saturn, And yet Saturn's the ruler of the octave, the naked eye astrology, the ruler of the structure of the world. And Uranus is part of the overtone, but the grandfather of it. And they represent two very different things. One represents revolution, and the other represents holding on to conventional structure, restriction, rules, laws. And Uranus says, to hell with the laws. It's a very simple way of putting it. But there they are, and they co-rule this part of the sky. And they are in fact related familially based on the energetic understanding of the pantheon throughout history. Uranus and Saturn are keenly related to one another in a very strange way. We don't have time to go into it. But there it is, all of the energy that is necessary to make up an entire culminating point. All the opposites are there to work themselves out in the time of Aquarius so that humanity can come back to God. And let's just cut right to the chase, because that's what we are trying to do. We are trying to come back to God. And Pluto is trying to help us. As brutal of an experience as Pluto can be, Pluto is trying to bring us back to God. And so is Saturn. That marriage of Saturn and Pluto for the last 15 years has been the definition of brutal for the world and for most individuals, whether they're Capricornian or not, in any aspect of their chart, in any ratio of their natal. Because that's just a potent combination for pain, pure and simple. Pain is how we learn. And it's not just the experiences that cause us pain that we have to endure. It's the pain itself that we have to endure. The modern world gives us distractions and poisons to keep us away from facing that pain directly. And therefore, what happens is we end up having the experience, but not really experiencing the pain that's supposed to go along with it, because that is where the learning is. The pain, the learning is in the pain. Pluto brings pain. Pure and simple, because Pluto is there to transform us. The only thing that transforms us is pain. This transition of Pluto into Aquarius, from Capricorn into Aquarius, is going to be painful. But I suggest that it is going to be painful in a different and new way than we have been used to for the last 15 years. Therefore, it is going to be acute, because it's going to be new, and we don't like new. New is painful. And so we mark this period, we mark this time. And I will make a small prediction here. And I'm not one to predict, because I don't do that very well. But I see this period between now, the latter part of January 2024, and mid-April of this year, when the great eclipse passes over the United States. That eclipse in the sign of Aries. The mild prediction is, but this period between now and then, between January and April, is going to be really interesting. Really, really interesting. I'm not an astrologer, so I can't say how and why and what. But I feel that, and I know people around the world do too.